Hey folks, it's Juan Marshall, Pro and Fight Talk. I was just sitting back thinking about this past weekend when Miguel Cotto fought his last fight, his retirement fight. Hard, tough fought fight. Ended up with a bicep injury, but he toughed it out and finished the fight. He lost the fight, on the scorecards and everything, but his toughness was absolutely there. And I was just thinking about the retirement aspect of it with fighters. A lot of fighters, they don't get the opportunity to retire from the sport and put in the amount of years that fighters like Miguel Cotto and Floyd Mayweather and so on have done. Where they can come to the point where they want to stop at their own time, like they've done. And I want to put more emphasis on the fighters that are still fighting. What is your plan B? What if something happens that doesn't give you the opportunity to continue fighting? What will you continue to do afterwards? Do you see yourself, getting a normal job, going to school, because most of the time, a lot of fighters these days, they have families, they have kids, they're married, or even if they're not married, they still have families to take care of. So what are you going to do if something happens? What if you're early in your career, you're just a fighter that's in your first or second year of fighting, professional fighting, and you're on your way to the gym and maybe something bad happens that you can't fight anymore, a bad accident or anything, any situation happens to you. What are you going to do? What is your plan B? And sometimes I like to talk about what goes on in the ring as much as I see what happens outside the ring, but I want to talk about what personally with these fighters. What is your plan B if something happens to you? Because a lot of fighters, some of them are off the streets and they come into the gym to stay out of trouble, and they found out they liked it and they stayed with it, or a trainer saw something special in them so they brought them into the gym and they worked their way up through the boxing game and become talented, and become at a world title pace, at a world title level, and became successful that way. But what about those fighters that are not that, that don't get that opportunity to make it? What are you going to do? So my advice to a lot of fighters, have a plan B. Even C if necessary. Because for boxing, this is not a lifelong sport. Any injury can take you out of this sport. Any outside of the gym situation or incident can take you out of this sport. So what are you going to do when you can't put on the gloves anymore? And a lot of them, they become trainers and everything, but every fighter can't become a trainer. Every fighter, it just doesn't happen that way. So what is your plan B? So, you guys, I just want to put a word out there for you guys that's out there, and women that's out there fighting. Have a plan B. Think of something that happens, that you can do, outside of boxing, just in case boxing doesn't work for you guys. So take it from me, Juan Marshall. I've seen a lot. I've seen it happen a lot. With fighters, sometimes they're at the top level, but they still didn't have a plan B after boxing was over. They retire from boxing, or they come to the point where nobody else wants to fight them anymore. They're either too old, or they box their way out of the sport, where they didn't get to the level that the people had potential, had put together for them to be, and it just didn't happen for them. So sometimes you got to think about that. Everyone in boxing is not successful. Everyone doesn't become a champion. And everyone, it doesn't make the millions of dollars, not even the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Everyone doesn't get that opportunity. So, like I keep telling you, what is the plan B for you guys? Even C, eventually. So, just something to think about. Thanks. Juan Marshall, I'm out.